Hello everyone. So I am this Deepak. And today in this video session we'll look about AWS Elastic Beanstalk, advantages of it, and how we can create a specific architecture and resources, or we can say environments, as per our requirement using the AWS Elastic Beanstalk service. So talking about AWS Elastic Beanstalk, it's an PaaS, or we can say platform as a service provided by AWS, or we can say Amazon Web Services. And as the name specifies, that is platform as a service. So Elastic Beanstalk simply provides us a platform using which we can deploy and different scalable web application and services. So as for the AWS Elastic Beanstalk documentation page, it says that AWS Elastic Beanstalk is an easy to use service for deploying and scaling web applications and services that are developed using certain programming languages such as Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Python, Ruby, Go, and Docker, using web servers such as Apache, Nginx, Passenger, and IIS that's related to Windows. So you just say, when using the AWS Elastic Beanstalk, the main advantage is just you need to upload your code, and everything is handled by the Elastic Beanstalk automatically. So let's take an example. So if we create if we need to deploy a Java based application in the AWS environment itself, without using the AWS Beanstalk, then we would have to just create an EC2 instance, and it would provide the EC2 instance simply will provide an EC2, or we can say one server, and using that server we need to install the dependencies that are required to run our Java web application. So all the dependencies are needed to be installed by ourselves only. But using the AWS Elastic Beanstalk, you just simply need to upload the Java based code, and everything will be handled by Elastic Beanstalk. So all the dependencies related to Java application and the resources that we would define in while creating the Elastic Beanstalk, like if we need load balancers, or if we need auto scalings, if we need database or other specific resources, then we can just select that while creating the Elastic Beanstalk environment, and everything will be created by AWS Elastic Beanstalk for us automatically. So we just don't need to worry about anything. We just need to upload our codes, and Elastic Beanstalk will look for everything. So Elastic Beanstalk is a free service, but the underlying resources that is used by it gets charged. So that's the point that needs to be kept while creating the AWS Beanstalk. So benefits are pretty much of clear over here. It's fast and simple to begin. The developer productivity increases because the developer simply focuses on the code instead of just managing the servers and uploading and deploying the code. It's impossible of outgrow, so we can enable using scalable phenomena such as auto scaling and load balancers, and its complete resource control. So all of the AWS resources can be integrated with AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, so I'll just attach this link in the YouTube description, so you can follow up that and get further information about it, set pricing, frequently asked questions, and other resources related to Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, so let's talk about what we are going to create today in this session. So in this session we will be using AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and we will just deploy a sample Java code using the AWS Beanstalk, and we will be deploying our application in private instance using the private subnet, and that instances needs to be assessed by the load balancer that will be in public subnet. So simply our let's look for the diagram and the architecture diagram, and that would be more clear. So this is the architecture diagram. It is pretty much of simple. So you can see that it's the AWS cloud, Inside that we will create a virtual private cloud, and inside that in a specific region, so I'll be choosing North Virginia. In that region we will create an Elastic Beanstalk container, and in that container we will create one private subnet, and in the private subnet the instances will be running, and in the public subnet the application load balancer will be running. So the specific thing over here is that the instances that will be created by the Elastic Beanstalk will be placed in private subnet, or will be in the private network, and will be assessed by the application load balancer DNS endpoint that will be of public subnet or public network. So our instances will be in private subnet, and our application load balancer will be in public subnet. So using the application load balancer DNS, we will be able to assess the data that's present in the inside the EC2 instances that are deployed by the Elastic Beanstalk. So it's pretty much of a simple architecture, and we will just specify a auto scaling feature, and we will look further about this architecture in the demo. So let's talk about what we are going to create today. Okay, so we'll simply create a VPC, or if you don't want, then you can just opt for the default one also. So you can create a default VPC, you can use the default VPC, but for the proper clarity of this demo, I'll be using a custom VPC, so you guys can follow with me with the creation of the VPC. And once the VPC is created, we will be creating the Elastic Beanstalk and specify the appropriate requirements for the load balancer and auto scaling. We'll look further about that. So let's move further to the demo. So first we'll be creating a VPC. So I'll just click over here VPC in the search option. I'll open that in new tab. So once I'm in the new tab, I'll be going on to the VPC options. I'll just create a VPC, and I'll just name it test ELB. Okay, let's EB, that's Elastic Beanstalk. And for the IPv4 CIDR block, I'll be choosing a 0.0.0/16. So you can choose any sort of IPv4 CIDR blocks as per your requirements. So I'll be choosing this one for my demo, and I'll leave my tags for this much. So you can add further more tags as per your requirements. That will be further clarifying and helpful for your production environment. So I'll leave the default one and create the VPC. Once my VPC is created, I'll go and create, as defined over here, we'll be creating 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets. And the main thing that we need to be careful over here is that we will be creating load balancer and EC2 instances, EC2 instances in the private subnet and load balancer in the public subnet. So our public subnet and private subnet should be used within the same availability zone. So the public subnet should be in US East 1A and US East 1B, and the private subnet should also be in US East 1A and US East 1B, or we can say 2B. So in case if we don't create the availability zones with the same for the public and private subnets, then there will be target deregistration related issues while configuring the load balancer. So as the EC2 instances will be created in different availability zone, and load balancer will not accept that, and show us a error that you need to your EC2 instances are in a different availability zone. So you need to choose the EC2 instances that are present in the required availability zone. So we'll just create subnet, choose our EC2 VPC ID. We'll create a public one named subnet group or subnet name, and we'll choose availability zone of US East 1A. CIDR range would be 10.0.0.0/24. Again I will add a new subnet. I'll name it public 2, and for now this I will choose US East 1B. The IPv4 CIDR block for this subnet would be this one. Again I will add a new subnet. I will name it as private 1, and here we need to choose the US East 1A. So the public subnet and the private subnet should be within the same availability zone. So I will be choosing US East 1A 10.0.2.24. Again I will add a new subnet and name it as private 2, and for now I will be choosing as US East 1B .3.0/24. So the subnet IPv4 CIDR block should be within the VPC CIDR range that we have created, at a 10.0.0.0/16. So the CIDR range should belong within that. So we have created 2 private subnets and 2 public subnets, and 2 public subnets are in US East 1A and US East 1B availability zone, and private subnets are also in US East 1A and US East 1B availability zone. So once our setup is created, we will click on create subnet, and we have created 4 subnets, and it's showing that our subnet has been created. Okay, so once subnet is created, we need an internet gateway to route our traffic through the public route table. So we'll be creating it. Name it test internet gateway. We'll create an internet gateway. Once it's created, we'll go to actions and attach it to our VPC. Attach internet gateway. Once it's attached, we'll need to create a NAT gateway. So we'll create a NAT gateway. The main use of NAT gateway would be to route the public subnets or the EC2 instances or the load balancer present in the public subnet to communicate with the internet. So using the NAT gateway, the public subnets or the public instances that are in the public network can communicate with the outer world or the internet using the NAT gateway. So we'll be creating a NAT gateway also. Name it as test NAT gateway. So for the subnet, we will be choosing public. Okay, public, we can choose any one of between public 1 and public 2, because for creating the NAT gateway, the subnet needs to be chosen public, because it creates a gateway using a public subnet. So as it defines that select a subnet in which you want to create a NAT gateway, we will create a NAT gateway using a public subnet 1. We'll select an elastic IP that I have allocated already, and in case if you do not have the elastic IP allocated, then you can click on the allocate EIP over here, and it will be allocated within seconds. So everything is okay. I'll click on create NAT gateway, and the creation of the NAT gateway will take few time. So until the NAT gateway is created, we will go to route table, and let's create route tables. So I'll go and click on route. So I'll create a public route table and name it as public RT. The VPC would be test EB. Tags I'll leave it as default for now. I'll click on create. Our public route table is created. I'll create a new route table, name it as private RT. Choose our created custom VPC, click on create. Our public and private route tables are created. Now we'll click on public, we'll click on subnet association, we'll click on edit subnet association, and then we'll associate our public subnets over here. We have selected two public 1 and public 2 subnets. Click on save. So this simply means that public route table, inside public route table we have selected public subnets, and in the routes we'll select add route. We'll choose 0.0.0. This simply means the gateway to the internet. Simply this means the network will be open to the internet. We'll choose the internet gateway and select the internet gateway we have created. This simply means that anybody who wants to go to the internet can go through using this internet gateway that we have created. We'll click on save route. So inside our public route table there are two subnets, that is public 1 and public 2, intended for public use. In the route we have selected the internet gateway. So any of the servers or EC2 instances that are created using the public route table will be able to connect to the internet using this internet gateway. So we'll do same for the private route table. We'll click on subnet association, click on edit subnet association. We'll choose private 1 and private 2. Click on save. Click on route. We'll click on edit route, add, and we'll select 0.0. And as this is the private subnet, we'll be not using the public IP. So instead we'll be using NAT gateway. So we'll click the drop down and click over here and click on NAT gateway, and we will be able to see the NAT gateway that we have created. So we'll select that one and click on save routes. Click on close. So if we go over here, so our almost the VPC setup is complete. So we have created a VPC. We have created two public subnets and two private subnets. We have created one internet gateway, we have created one NAT gateway, and we have created two route tables and attached the NAT gateway and internet gateway to the appropriate public and private route tables. So our VPC setup has been completed. Now we will move towards the Elastic Beanstalk setup. So in the drop down we will click on Elastic Beanstalk. So once you click on Elastic Beanstalk service will appear over here, and we'll click on open in new tab and open it in new tab. So currently I don't have any sort of environments or applications created. So if you do not have any sort of environments, you will see this empty page, and you can click over here on create applications to create a new environment. I'll click on create applications. I'll give it a name test, or we can say demo. Elastic Beanstalk service, and let's give it a application tag, that is name. In the value will okay, so the name is reserve tag that has already been defined over here, so I can remove over here, and I'll just choose it as default. And for the platform we can choose any sort of programming languages or environments, and for now we'll be choosing Java. And as we choose Java, the platform branch we can choose any sort of as per the requirement. We'll go with the default one. The platform version also it says recommended, and we will be choosing that one only. So here is the part that is application code. So we will be using sample application code because we don't have an custom code to upload over here. So we'll be using the sample application code for this demo. But once you click on the upload your code, so if you have your code already created, then you can just upload it from over here from your local device, or in case if you have the S3, if you have uploaded the codes in the AWS S3 service, then you can post the S3 URL over also here, and you can sort of provide application code tags also over here. So we'll be choosing the sample application over here, so we'll be choosing that one, and once you click over there we'll be choosing on configure more options. So once you click on the configure more option, it will provide us specific options that can be chosen to further add on the resources in our environment. So as you can see that configurations presents are single tier, so this is free tier eligible, so it will be not having a sort of specific resources. So once we click on the single instance, as you can see, we will not be able to choose the load balancer option, we will not be able to choose the network option. Okay, so and if we choose the custom configuration, then we are able to choose all of the services. So we'll be choosing the custom option because we don't need for this demo we will not be requiring the high availability and our single instance using spot instances or spot and on demand instances for this configuration. So we'll be using the custom configuration, and that will be perfect for us. So the things that we need to change over here is that we'll be going to capacity. We'll click over here and edit. So here is an option, so auto scaling group. Here is an option of load balanced, and if we choose a single instance, and once we click the single instance, then we will not be able to. So I have chosen the single instance over here, and I'll click on save. And once you click on save, if you will see that in the custom configuration also in the load balancer, this configuration does not contain a load balancer, because to create a load balancer in Elastic Beanstalk you must have to use the auto scaling capability. So the auto scaling will be using the load balancing feature, and using the and the auto scaling and load balancer will be working side by side. So if we click on capacity once again and edit, we will choose load balanced, and if we click on save, we are able to see that the load balancer option has appeared. So for using the load balancer feature, you need to use the capacity, that is a load balanced one. So what sort of instances do you want to use for the minimum type and the maximum? So the minimum, the default one is 1 and 4, so minimum would be 1, that is perfect, and for the maximum we will be using 2 for right now, because we don't want to spin off more AWS EC2 instances, and on-demand instances we will be using, and instance type we can choose any sort of, so T2 micro would be perfect for right now. And availability zones, if we want to choose specific, so we'll choose any for right now. Placement groups, so we will also leave it as default. And scaling trigger, so we can choose CPU utilization, network in, network out. These are the matrices that we can use to trigger the scaling policies. So using these policies the auto scaling will behave. So in case the CPU utilization, if we choose it to be 80%, then once the EC2 instances hit above the 80%, then it will trigger the scaling policy, and another EC2 instance will be up and running. So we'll choose the default one, that is network out right for now, and we'll choose all of them as default. We'll click on save. So once again we will go to capacity and check for the changes that we have made. We have choose the load balance option, minimum 1, maximum 2, and all of them we have choose the default one. So okay, that is perfect. Now we'll go to edit the network part. So the main thing appears over here. So if we click the go into the network part, you will be able to see the VPC part. So it specifies that in which VPC we want to create the resources. So we will be using our VPC, that is test EB. And the main part over here is the load balancer setting and the instance setting. So this instance setting is related to Elastic Beanstalk, and the load balancer is also related to Elastic Beanstalk. So as you can see over here, it says okay. So the load balancer, and for the load balancer you want to make the visibility public or private, so we'll be making our load balancer public, and we'll be choosing the public subnet over here, that is public 1 and public 2, that is USTIS 1A and USTIS 1B. And for the instance setting, we need our instances to be in private subnet, so we'll be choosing the private subnets, that is USTIS 1B and USTIS 1A, that is our private 1 and private 2, and we don't want to assign public IP addresses to it because we want our instances to be in private subnet or private network. So our load balancer will be created in public subnet and our instances will be created in private subnet, but we will be able to access the services or code that are present or data present in the instances that are in private subnet using the public load balancer DNS name. So we'll click on save, and for this demo, these two parts, that's capacity and the network options, these two parts are pretty much of important ones, so you need to be careful while choosing specific requirements over here. And for further details you can choose other options also, so you can choose instance types, you can choose rolling updates, which one you want to deploy, or use the deployment policies like all at once, or you can use blue-green deployments, or you can use rolling with additional batches or immutable ones. So there are pretty much of other options that you can configure and create a complex architecture regarding this. Also you can attach database engines, also you can attach SNS notifications also, and other pretty much of stuffs. So for now, for this demo, the capacity and networking part has already been configured, so we'll click on create app. So once you click on create app, the creation of the application or environment will start, and the records or logs will be shown to us, so we can see the logs that what resources has been created. So as we can see that using Elastic Beanstalk, this one Amazon S3 bucket for the environment data has been created, create environment is starting. So as it says that this will take a few minutes, so we will wait for a few minutes, so it will not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll pause this video for then, and once the environment is set up, then we'll come back and look what the resources have been created. So it's been around 5 minutes. So I have created a new environment, as there were certain issues with the older environment that we have created. So I have created a new environment, test-env, with the same configurations that we have discussed previously. So I have the configurations has been created, the environment has also been created, and the health is showing okay. So if we go inside this environment and click or see into the recent events that have been happened, so if I click on show all, and we can see that certain details have been provided about the events that have been occurred. So we can see that successfully launched environment test-env, and application available, the DNS name has been made available, environment health check have been also made, and instance have been added to the environment, and deployment has been completed. And if we want to look at the specific things that have been created, so we can see that it's saying that created a security group named this, so the security group has been created, and target group named this have been created, and auto scaling group named this have been created. So a lot of stuffs have been created by the AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So this all events have been created automatically by the AWS using the AWS Elastic Beanstalk service, so we didn't have to look into any sort of things to do with manually. So as we see, our environment has been created and the health is showing okay. So let's go to our EC2 instance to check if the instance have been up and running or not. So if we go to EC2 instance, we can see that the instance there is one instance in running state, and if I click, and this one is the environment, that is test-env. If we click over here and to confirm this, okay, so the environment name is test-env, so our instance name is also test-env, and you can see that it doesn't have public IP address, as we have created this we have created this environment saying that the EC2 instance must be created in the private subnet, so it has only private IP address. And if we see further details, if we see its security group, it says AWS EB, that says it's created by the Elastic Beanstalk, and only the port 80 is open right now, so we can add manually also other ports as per our requirement. And if we go to load balancer, you can see that AWS EB and AWS EB Elastic Beanstalk load balancer has been created, that is of application type. So the type that are application type, network application, or we can say network load balancer, application load balancer, classic load balancer can be chosen while creating the load balancer option, while creating the Elastic Beanstalk. So we'll be looking on that also. So in the target group, the target group has also been created by AWS Beanstalk. So I think this one is the second one. So if we go inside it, we can see that the instance test-env is running on the port 80 and the status is healthy. So the instance target group also contains our instance. If we go to our auto scaling launch configurations, the configuration is also been created by the AWS EB, that is Elastic Beanstalk auto scaling launch configuration. We go to auto scaling groups, and we can see that the auto scaling group is also created by the AWS EB, that is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. And if we go to instance management, and we can see that the instance ID, that is our test-env, has been added to the in-service lifecycle of the auto scaling group also. So if you go to auto static scaling, the scaling is enabled, and this all actions that we have seen right now, that is creation of the auto scaling groups, launch configurations, load balancer, target groups, EC2 instance, all have been created by the AWS Elastic Beanstalk service automatically. So we don't have to manually create those, we simply just need to upload the code. So if we go to load balancer and copy the DNS name and hit it over to our browser, we can see this is the page of the AWS Beanstalk Pareto application that is related to Java has been deployed, and this is the sample page. So it's been accessible from the load balancer endpoint, and our EC2 instances are in private subnet. So as a security wise, it's perfect, as our EC2 instances are in private subnet, and that's accessible from the load balancer that is in public subnet. So as per our architecture diagram, we have completed our setup. We have auto scaling configured, we have EC2 instances in private subnet that are accessible using the application load balancer in the public subnet. So our demo has been completed. So at the last, let's see at where we can choose which type of application or load balancer type can we choose. We can choose any sort of load balancer type as per our requirement. So let's go to Elastic Beanstalk. So I think once you have created the Elastic Beanstalk environment, it's not possible to change the load balancer type. So we need to choose the load balancer type while creating the Elastic Beanstalk environment. So we'll go to environments. We'll create a new environment. So we'll be choosing a web server environment that is applicable for deployment of websites, web applications, and web APIs. And if we need further long-running workloads and complex architectures, then we will be using the worker environment. So for now we will be using web server environment. We'll click on select and let's give it a name, test1 union B. We don't need a description right now. Let's choose Java for now, and we'll choose the sample code and click on configure more options. And if we go to let me go to custom configurations and go to load balancer, and over here we can see that we can choose among the three. We can choose one of the load balancers. We can choose application load balancer, classic load balancer, and network load balancers. So previously I have used the application load balancer. You can choose the classic and a network load balancer as per your requirement. And if you have created load balancers or you have load balancer in your AWS account already present, then you can choose the shared one and click on shared and simply paste the load balancers ARN over here, and that will be applicable to be used for the VPC that you have created the load balancer in. So once everything is okay, you can click on save and go back, and you can choose other requirements as per your need, and you can proceed with the creation of environment, and AWS Elastic Beanstalk will create the environment setup automatically within few minutes. So you don't need to manually just go and create each and every resources, have knowledge about them, how to create them. You simply need to have a specific requirements or needs, or we can say the things that you need to deploy, such as how many EC2 instances do you want, auto scaling or not, do you want databases or not, do you want load balancer or any sort of other specific requirements. Then you can choose from the drop down menus present in the Elastic Beanstalk options, and once you click on those, and you can simply click on create environment, and your environment will be ready in a few minutes. So AWS Elastic Beanstalk environment is pretty much of great service provided by AWS services. So you can just look into it and play a bit around and gain certain knowledge about it. So thank you everyone for having with me, and we'll meet soon.